Right, we're on lesson 7 of Unit 2, moving right along. And we're going to solve for x when there are only other variables. Egad, what does that mean? Well, you can see an example of it right here. They want me to solve for x, but I'm not going to come up with a nice answer like x equals 3 or x equals cutie 2. We're going to come up with some really ugly answers. So once again, we can do it by the box way, or we can do it by the traditional way. So let's just do this traditional way. Traditional way is move everybody away from the x. I do order of operations backwards. So in other words, I want to undo any addition or subtraction I see first. So this plus b moves to the other side by an inverse operation of plussing, which is subtraction. And this multiplication gets moved to the other side by its inverse operation, which is division. And careful, when you divide, you're doing it by the whole side. So we finally have x left alone, and we manipulated it to be c minus b over a. Now I know you may be looking at this going, this is really weird, but it's very important we learn how to manipulate this for formula use later on. If you don't like this shortcut, you can always go back to the box. Okay, what happened to the x first? It got multiplied by a. Then we had a b added onto it, and that got us to c. All right, to undo c, we undo plus b by minusing b, and we undo a multiplying of a by dividing by a, and that gets us back to x. And if you notice, we have the same answer in both spots. Here, and there. Ooh, that's a little longer, but we can do it. All right, let's do the box this time first. Started off with x, and somebody added an a onto it. Then somebody divided by b, and finally they subtracted a c, and that got us all the way to d. All right, here we are at d. We'll do the inverse operation of minus c, which is plus c. We'll do the inverse operation of dividing by b, which is we're going to take this d plus c and multiply by b. And then the last inverse of adding a, we're going to subtract a. And that should get us back to what x is. All right, so over here, I'm going to do the traditional way. I'm going to do PEMDAS backwards. All right, undo any addition or subtraction first. So this minus c is going to get pulled over here as its inverse, and that's d plus c. Then we have a little problem. Most kids would think, all right, we still have this addition right here to take care of, but careful. I did an x plus a, then I divided by b, so I have to go backwards. So what I really have to do is multiply by the b first. Last step, inverse operation. We plus an A, so the inverse of that is minusing an A. And as you can see, we get the same exact answers, whether we like our chart or we like traditional method. However, got a little issue here. Notice I don't have a chart set up for you over here. And notice it says solve for x, but which x? This one or that one? Well, hopefully a couple of you were smart and said, well, aren't they the same, Mrs. Drillin? That's right. So we're going to have to do a little work here first before we can solve for x. We're actually going to have to multiply this out and do some regrouping so that we only get one x. All right, so if I multiply that out, I get 3x plus h. Oh my gosh, we still have two x's. All right, so I'm going to take this 3x and I'm going to put it over there with that x because we're combining like terms. We've done that in math before. All right, so that means we have this ax. This comes over as minus 3x. And then I'm going to take this minus k and put it over here by doing its inverse operation, which is adding k. I still have two x's. Here's the trick. Sorry. We undistribute. That means this x must have been passed out to an a minus 3. Get it? We passed it out to get ax. We passed it out to get 3x. Now we have only one x. Yeah, I know this is a tough one, but we've got to learn how to handle these. Now, how do I get that x alone? Well, that a minus 3 is holding on to the x, as you can see, by multiplication. So finally now, I can divide by a minus 3 both sides, and that was a lot of work. The x value, when solved for, is h plus k over a minus 3. Yep, this is a lot of work. We got one more for tonight, and then we've got about 3 more we're going to practice on in class tomorrow. We've got a chart now because there's only one x. All right, let's do the chart first. What happened to that x? Well, that x got multiplied by a 3, got multiplied by an a, I then added 2b onto it, divided by a c, and that got me to 4d. All right, backwards. So we'll start with the 4d, and instead of dividing by c, we'll multiply by c. Instead of adding 2b, we'll minus 2b. Instead of multiplying by a, we're going to divide by a. And then instead of multiplying by 3, we're going to divide by 3. But you see how we already have this division sign there? We don't need to put another one down. There's our final answer. All right, so let's look at this traditionally. First thing I would do is multiply both sides by c. Okay, same thing I got there. All right, now here's the a. It's getting multiplied by, oh, sorry, here's the x. It's getting multiplied by 3a, but it's also adding 2b. So who do I move first? That's right, we move this 2b first. So this is going to get inversed operation over there, just like we have there. And then I'm going to take a shortcut here. I'm going to divide by 3a all in one step. And that will get me the same answer as I had up here. All right, so we got a couple of them tomorrow in class. I know this is tough, but we'll work on it in class together. See you then. Bye.